Sir Michael was mistaken in his prophecy upon the weather. The storm did not hold off until next day, but burst with terrible fury over the village of Audley about half an hour before midnight. Robert Audley took the thunder and lightning with the same composure with which he accepted all other ills of life. He lay on a sofa in the sitting room, ostensibly reading the 5-days-old Chelmsford paper and wriggling himself occasionally with a few sips from a large tumbler of cold punch. But the storm had quite a different effect upon George Talboys. His friend was startled when he looked at the young man's white face as he sat opposite the open window listening to the thunder and staring at the black sky, rent every now and then by forked streaks of steel-blue lightning.
"George,"
said Robert after watching him for some time.
"are you frightened at the lightning?"
"No,"
he answered curtly.
"But, my dear fellow, some of the most courageous men have been frightened at it. It is scarcely to be called a fear. It is constitutional. I am sure that you are frightened of it."
"No, I am not."
"But, George, if you could see yourself, white and haggard, with your great hollow eyes staring at the sky as if it was fixed upon a ghost, I tell you, I know that you are frightened."
"And I tell you that I am not."
"George Talboys, you are not only afraid of the lightning, but you are savage with yourself for being afraid, and with me for telling you of your fear."
"Robert Audley, if you say another word to me, I shall knock you down."
Having said which, Mr. Talboys strode out of the room, banging the door after him with violence that shook the house. Those inky clouds, which had shut in the sultry earth as if with a roof of hot iron, poured out their blackness in sudden deluge as George left the soaking shower for about 20 minutes, and then, re-entering the inn, strode up to his bedroom. Robert
"Are you going to bed, George?"
"Yes."
"But you have no candle."
"I don't want one."
"But look at your clothes. Do you see the wet streaming down your coat sleeves? What on earth made you go out upon such a night?"
"I'm tired and I want to go to bed. Don't bother me."
"You'll take some hot brandy water, George?"
Robert Audley stood in his friend's way as he spoke, anxious to prevent him going to bed in the state he was in. But George pushed him fiercely aside, and striding past him, said in the same hoarse voice Robert had noticed at court,
"Let me alone, Robert Audley, and keep clear of me if you can."
Robert followed George to his bedroom, but the young man banged the door in his face, so there was nothing for it but to leave Mr. Talboys to himself to recover his temper as best he might.
He was irritated at my noticing his terror of the lightning,
thought Robert.
The storm rolled away from the quiet village of Audley, and when Robert awoke the next morning, it was to see bright sunshine and a peep of cloudless sky between the white curtains of his bedroom window. It was one of those serene and lovely mornings that sometimes succeed a storm. The birds sung loudly and cheerily, the yellow corn uplifted itself in the broad fields, and waved proudly after its sharp tussle with the storm, which had done its best to beat down the heavy ears with cruel wind and driving rain half the night through. The vine leaves clustering around Robert's window fluttered with a joyous rustling, shaking the raindrops in diamond showers from every spray and tendril. Robert Audley found his friend waiting for him at the breakfast table. George was very pale but perfectly tranquil, if anything indeed more cheerful than usual.
He took Robert by the hand with something of that old hearty manner for which he had been distinguished before the one affliction of his life overtook and shipwrecked him.
"Forgive me, Bob,"
he said frankly,
"for my surly temper of last night. You were quite correct in your assertion. The thunder did upset me. It always had the same effect upon me in my youth."
"Poor old boy. Shall we go up by the express, or shall we stop here and dine with my uncle tonight?"
asked Robert.
"To tell the truth, Bob, I'd rather do neither. It's a glorious morning. Suppose we stroll about all day, take another turn with the road in line, and go to the town by the train that leaves here at 6:15 in the evening."